Uh, there we go. We got it. Anyway, I just wanted to thank Jan for being on the call to help us out right now. We have some registered nurses on this call that I was wanting to hear how Jan implemented it into her practice when she started and how she turned it into kind of a business. So anyway, Jan, I appreciate it, and I'll let you take it from here.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Tanya. When Tanya asked me to jump on and help, I thought it was just going to be a couple of people. We were going to have a little quiet meeting, and then Randy said, no, I want to invite other people, and so I felt extremely honored and nervous to do that, but really glad I could be here because this is near and dear to my heart. So I'll just share briefly my story, and then I want this to be interactive. I want to ask questions, and I want to have others share because there's a lot of nurses on here, and so you guys who are doing this currently, be ready to just pipe up and share your quick, story of how this is really blessing your life as well. So about 7 years ago, we were blessed with a new baby. It was a bit of a surprise, but a very joyful surprise. I was 45 years old, and we had 7 kids at the time, and the age gap between the two, the next up was 7 years. We thought we were done. And I found out on Christmas Eve we were expecting a baby, and I was like, whoa! So we were blessed to have a healthy little boy, but after he was born, I struggled with being not at my best weight. I had chronic headaches, and I also struggled with candida. And I had low energy, and I was not doing well. I wasn't functioning at my best. And I couldn't figure out what to do. I had tried many different things, and I hadn't tried a lot, but I'd read a lot about other things that you could do to lose weight. HCG was out there, which I was not interested in at all. But some would say, eat a lot of, high fat, and others would say, no, it's all about low carbs and all this stuff. And I could not make sense of it. And so that year I determined in January for my New Year's resolution, it was in 2010, I would learn how to eat right. I hadn't had a big weight problem, but 10 pounds on and off and on and off. I probably lost 100 pounds over a 10-year span, with all the gaining and losing and gaining and losing. So I had 12 pounds I couldn't get off, and I was frustrated. That's when I heard from my coach, Randy Karchner, and he sent me a picture, told me that he had found this program that he was able to drop 50 pounds and just how much better he felt, and his energy was up, and his picture said it all. We had been friends from college, and when I had seen him the last time, he had put on quite a bit of weight. His smile wasn't quite as bright. His eyes didn't look very clear, and I just felt like, oh, poor Randy. And then when I saw this picture after he had used this program, it was like, there he is. There's the guy that I knew, right? So I was really intrigued and interested, and I decided to find out what this was and learn more about it. And I did do that. I learned, and I decided to give it a chance, and he was a great coach and helped me through it. And I melted. It felt like I melted into my pre-pregnancy clothes. So good, and energy was up. And then I noticed about a month in, I hadn't had a headache for a while, and I wasn't having those other symptoms that I had dealt with for years and years with that candida. And it was like, wow, you get your body in balance, you balance those blood sugars, and look what is happening. So I knew that that was a result of getting healthy. And so I went on to send a few more people Randy's way, and he sent me back a message saying, thank you, but hey, let's talk about why don't you coach them? And so he explained more about that, and I didn't know that was an option. And so I decided to explore that, and I realized that it really spoke to my nursing heart that I could really reach in and help someone with their health and do this from home and be able to create income for my family. And at that time, my husband's income was dropping. He works with insurance, and it was during that crash time where all the small businesses were closing, and a lot of us were, our income was dropping consistently because he wasn't able to insure their businesses. And I thought, could I do this? Could I replace some of our income and just be able to do this from home? And as much as I love nursing, the thought of me going back to the hospital and I would have to pick up probably night shifts, because I hadn't worked in the hospital setting for a while. I had been doing more daytime hour things at more in the community than I had done in the hospital, but we needed the income. And I thought that's where I get paid the best. And I thought the thought of night shifts and leaving that baby and the whole family, I just couldn't do it. I had worked a lot of night shifts in my day. So I explored it. I decided, okay, let's give it a shot. And I went ahead and started to reach out to a few people that I knew wanted to get healthier. And they decided to try it. So as they started having success and that ball started rolling, people started asking them, it started to grow. And my goal was $1,000 a month. I thought if I could just build it up to $1,000 a month, that would take the edge off at home. I would feel comfortable with that. And in 6 weeks' time, I counted up what I had earned from the program, and that compensation equaled $1,000, over $1,000 actually. And I was just like, wow, like I am enjoying serving these people. I'm seeing them have success. They feel better. That's really where my nursing heart was anyway. That's why I became a nurse, was to help people improve and thrive. But let me ask you guys a question. Of you nurses out there, how many of you guys have seen that trend go from more, acute nursing and helping with things that were maybe not chronic, switch to chronic and more symptom management? How many of you guys have seen that happening? Just long-term symptom management. It just breaks my heart how we are constantly dealing with the effects of diabetes and heart disease and cancer, and they're always looking for a cure. But the big underlying factor of all of those big diseases is what? It's if we're healthy or not, right? So much of the precursor of all of those diseases is if we're overweight or obese. It's dramatic. And so I feel like I had to take up that torch and just run with it and try to light the way for other people to see that it doesn't have to be that way. And as much as I love the profession, my specialty was labor and delivery. And I think I ended up there because it's most of the time an extremely happy place. I loved the teaching aspect of it. I loved the people, but I didn't see so much of that chronic, let's treat this with a prescription, and then, oh gosh, more side effects from that. And so we're going to add this, and there's more problems because of that. So, this ongoing cycle that just drove me crazy. And so I ended up in that specialty area because I didn't see as much of that. And then I moved out into the community, like I said, and I did some other things with nursing, which, don't get me wrong, I love the profession. But what I found with this is that you get to the root of the issue with the person, and you really help them create life and health on every level in their lives. Because there's really 3 areas of our lives that we are concerned with. Do we have health? Because if we're not healthy, life suffers, right? We can't enjoy it. We don't feel well. We tend to struggle mentally if we're not feeling well physically. And that kind of leads into the second area of, what is your outlook? Do you have hope? Do you have a happy disposition? Do you have options? Do you have opportunities? All of those things kind of go along with that health. And then if financially you're struggling to make ends meet and you can't meet the needs of yourself or your family and the people that are depending on you, that really takes a toll. So those 3 areas of focus, those are the 3 areas that Optavia really focuses on, is the healthy body, healthy mind, and the healthy finance. So I would love to just ask, I see Donnie Alvarenga here, and I would just love her to come on and share with you. She's a nurse practitioner and has basically transformed her life. And Donnie, could you just take a couple minutes and just share your take on this whole thing with everybody?
I would love to, Jan. Thank you so much for inviting me. I actually wanted to work with women and children when I became a nurse. And so when I hear you talking about labor and delivery, I'm like, oh. And in my desire to work with women, I got my first job in the women's pavilion. I was like, yes. And, the Lord and I had this conversation. I said, Lord, anything but burns and oncology. Turns out the women's pavilion was GYN oncology. And God just laughed in my face and said, I have better plans for you. I have better plans for you. And so I ended up working in oncology for 8 years. And it was very, very quick. And I would say in that very first week as a nurse, that I remember thinking, okay, my job is to help you get healthy enough so you can leave the hospital, right? Healthy enough. And, as my career evolved and I went into outpatient oncology, I learned that my job was to keep people healthy enough so that they didn't go back into the hospital. I was like, wait, there's got to be something more. I want to do more. And I kept, I've spent a whole lot of time trying to figure out how can I help people be really, truly healthy, not just healthy enough, just healthy enough so they don't have to be in the hospital. And in my process of figuring out how can I help people be healthy, I've got to admit, I considered leaving nursing. I looked into nutrition, I looked into corporate wellness, I looked into personal training, and all of those were important components of health, but it didn't feel like the full picture. And I couldn't put my finger on what it was, but I knew that it didn't feel like the full picture. And I was looking for something. And so I decided to go back to school. And I became a pediatric nurse practitioner thinking, okay, I'm going to raise healthy children from the get-go. They're never going to be sick adults. If it was up to me, no one would ever have to witness any of the ugliness that I've had to witness as an oncology nurse. In terms of, when I hear people saying, I'm going to eat this and I'm going to smoke this and I'm going to drink this because I want to die happy, right? In the back of my mind, I know they're not going to die happy. I just know that is not going to make them happy and they're not going to be happy in those last moments. And because I've actually witnessed it, right? And so I was very passionate and like a little bit desperate. I was like, no, you really don't want that. And I want to show you how, but I don't know how. So I became a pediatric nurse practitioner thinking I'm going to raise these healthy children. And so I actually started a weight management program for kids as a nurse practitioner. We called it the Fit Kid Club. And it was an exercise in banging my head against the wall because I discovered that healthcare has a place. It is very essential and important, but it was not built for wellness. And that's where my heart was. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to help people be healthy. And that's not what healthcare is about. And so when I started this weight management program for kids, number one, I had to pull a lot of teeth for them to approve us being able to do this. And then once they approved us to do it, we didn't know if insurance companies would pay for the service. At that time, about 6 years ago, obesity was not even a diagnosis. So the practice that I worked at they were very supportive. They were very good. And they saw the need and they saw my passion and they said, okay, let's try it, Donnie. But even in the trying, they had a business to run and they couldn't just hold their fingers and say, I hope they pay. So they limited the amount of time that I could see the kids. So I worked at a practice with 11 providers and, we were expected to see about 30 patients a day. So you imagine we're seeing about 300 patients a day, right? And the national average is about a third of kids are either overweight or obese. So at that rate, there are about 100 kids every week, right, that needed my help. And yet they limited the amount of time that I could see the kids to one morning session every other week, which meant I had 6 hours a month to meet that need, which meant I didn't meet the need, right? And every month when they called me in to evaluate, how is the program going? I was afraid that was going to be the month they were going to cut it. Because, when I saw a patient and the guidelines recommended that I connect with them frequently during that week, and the guidelines recommended that I connect with them every week for several weeks, and the guidelines recommended that I keep close contact with them, right? So I would say, I'd love to see you back next week. They would go out to the front and they would schedule their next appointment for 3 months from now, because that's when the next available appointment was. So that meant that I couldn't offer the support, the evidence-based practice that I wanted to offer because I didn't have the resources, right? So not only did I not have the resources to kind of create the results I wanted, but when those appointments finally did circle back around, there was a huge no-show rate because an overweight child is perceived as cute. as a phase they're going to outgrow. It's not perceived as life-threatening. And about 6 years ago, you know, the economy was pretty shaky, and parents didn't want to take time off from work unless their kid was losing a limb or dying, right? So this was my experience in trying to implement wellness inside of that healthcare box. Now, mind you, here I'm running this weight management program for kids, but I have always struggled with my weight. I was put on my first diet when I was 8 years old. And so this is a topic that's very, very near and dear to my heart. And when I was running this weight management program, I got pregnant with twins. And actually, it was while I was running this program that for the first time in my adult life, I hit a 24.99999 BMI, where I was holding on to a healthy BMI by the skin of my teeth, and I got pregnant. And that went out the window. So, you know, I gained about 55 pounds after my girls were born, not during the pregnancy, after they were born. And that was so embarrassing on so many levels, right? On a personal level, I'm a woman. I just gained 55 pounds. On a professional level, everybody else knew I knew better. And I worked with kids, and kids see right through you. And yet it was the best thing that ever happened to me, because here I had spent 16 years of a career looking for a way to help people be healthy. And I couldn't find it. And it wasn't until I gained 55 pounds that my husband decided to work with a health coach. And I'm like, health coach? What's a health coach? And why do we need a coach? Because we've got me, and I know it all. And I'm just being honest. I didn't think I needed a coach, right? And yet, obviously, I wasn't doing what I knew. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me to have gained that 55 pounds, because we decided to do it. You know, I decided to do it to support him, even though I didn't think I needed it. But what I discovered was that my coach was able to do what I always wanted to do. She did it from home. My husband lost 100 pounds. I lost 55. Results. What? Results? That's crazy. And she did it from home, which kind of caught my attention. And she had all of the components that I had wished for in my Fit Kit Club. You know, it was evidence-based. It was the whole thing about connecting frequently. She had that. The results, she had that. And so people started asking us what we were doing, and I thought, I'll help you. I never, you know, I knew there's no money in wellness, right? Because here I'd been fighting this uphill battle with getting paid for my services. So that there's no money in wellness. So I'll just help you out of the kindness of my nursing heart. And what was crazy was that within about 4 months, I replaced my part-time nurse practitioner income. And I did that on my drive into work and on my drive home from work, which was about a 45-minute drive. And so when I replaced my income, I thought, well, wait a minute, why am I leaving my kids at home when I'm making the same amount of money or even more on my drive in? So, you know, within about 7 months, I said, yeah, I don't think I want to drive to work anymore. And I quit my job. And that has been such a huge blessing in my life, because it gave me that purpose that I was looking for. I wanted to help people be healthy. I found a way to do it. And not only that, but, you know, fast forward 3 years, my husband got laid off, and it was an exciting experience to look at the numbers and say, do you need to find another job? You know? And when I was 7 months pregnant with twins, he was laid off as well. And that was not the same experience. You know, here we went from having double income, no kids, to having double kids, no income. That was not fun. But for him to get laid off again and us to be able to say, hey, do you want to look for another job, or do you want to stay home for a while? And that while has been now 3 years. And I'm so grateful for coaching, because not only do I get to do something I absolutely love, but I get to do it from home so that I can homeschool these little girls, and Daddy's home with us too. So thanks, Jan, for letting me come on and share my story.
Wow. Donnie, that is so inspiring. So many things opened up to you as you were open to this opportunity. And look what a difference it's made. I just love that. I would just love to take a second and just ask you guys a few questions. Those of you who are exploring right now, ask yourself, are you fulfilled in what you're doing as far as what you chose as a career in nursing? Is it fulfilling to you exactly how it is right now? And Are you loving the hours that you put in? Is it fitting with your family? Is it working for you? And again, just know that I'm not trying to discourage you from the profession of nursing, because we all love it and honor it. But I'm just asking you to think maybe outside the box for a second on a few things. And is there a deep level of satisfaction in making a difference, making a difference in lives where you could feel like you're actually creating and leaving a legacy? Okay, so just kind of think about that for a minute. If you could still utilize your nursing skills, maybe in a little bit of a different way, maybe you could just, continue with what you're doing. But if you opened up the possibility to start this just to see what would happen as you're able to create and replace some income, then your options could possibly open for you, where you could see that maybe I could go down to 2 shifts a week. Maybe I could just do 1. Maybe I could just keep my license current and be home with my children more than I am now. That's what I did at the beginning. I got to where I was just 1 day a week in the day job that I had. I was in an immunization clinic, which was great. Very simple. I just went and I did my job and I came home. And yet I could keep my license current, but then I could do this. But about the time that this was growing to the point where even that day away, it seemed like, gosh, I really wish I had that day to continue with coaching. I finally stepped away from that. And now I continue keeping my license current by doing CEUs through rn.com, and I keep my license current through that. I won't ever let it go because I worked too hard to get it, but I feel like I'm more fulfilled this way, being able to see people's lives change in the way that they have, than in the hours that I was putting in just, charting incessantly and dealing with the red tape that sometimes goes along with the profession, and not really being able to see the long-term results of what I have been able to try to help with. So many benefits to this, so many. And I've asked Kirtley Freckleton, she's another darling nurse she's pretty fresh out of school. And Kirtley, if you could just take a couple minutes and just kind of share your experience with it, I would love for you to come on and share.
Awesome. Thanks, Jen. This has been really fun. Thanks, Donnie, for your story. That is so touching to hear from you. So I graduated about 4 years ago, and as I was studying for the NCLEX, I had 3 months that I allowed myself, and I felt like, I could be working right now. And I finally asked myself, well, what would be the most fulfilling thing to do? I should have asked that before I started school. But I thought, helping people with their health, with weight loss would be really exciting. Because I think we all know people who have really changed because of weight loss. My best friend gained 200 pounds, and I watched her get depressed and just hide in her shell. And it was so sad to me. And I had struggled with weight a little bit. I was always wanting to lose weight, didn't know how to, and it was always on my mind. So I thought, what if I could help people with that? And so I found, I Google searched it, and I found this certification and signed up right away because it had all the components that Jan was talking about and Donnie, and it just made sense. So I did that just on the side as I was a full-term nurse. I passed the NCLEX, I became a full-time nurse, and just thought it was just a fun little thing to do. But as I continued nursing, I was shocked at how unfulfilled I was, that it was nothing like I had hoped for. I know when they asked me when I started nursing school, why do you want to become a nurse? And I'd always say, because I care about people and I want to help them. And as a nurse, I felt like we were just so go. I never had time to connect. And if I did talk a little too long, the doctors would get upset or other nurses would get upset. And I yearned for that connection with people. So I was just like, I found myself looking at the time when I could finally get off of work. I dreaded the days I had to go, wake up early to go. And so finally, I started hearing amazing feedback from my clients that, one client said I saved their life. And I had never heard that as a nurse. And I thought, this is interesting. So I finally gave it a good look. And as I had it with nursing, it was mostly the hours like Jan was talking about, and just not feeling like I was doing what I thought I would be doing. So I said, okay, this is it. I'm going to quit nursing and become a full-time health coach. And so I made that leap and just fell more in love with it. And I've never felt more like a nurse as I do now, fulfilling that calling. And so it's been extremely exciting to see real transformations and to see people move from disease into wellness. I've loved it, and just have been shocked with how financially stable it is and making more money than I ever thought was possible, which is fun to help dreams come true, and doing on the way, helping people heal. So it's been a dream come true job. It's been really, really, really exciting for me. I never thought it was possible to find a job that fits so well with my natural desires that I would do for free happily. So yeah, that's my story.
Awesome. Awesome, Curtly. Thank you so much for taking time to come out and talk to us today. It's just, it's just wonderful to hear when we feel such a fulfillment. It shows. It really does show. People feel that. They recognize when you really love what you do. And they can also tell when you really, are just going through the motions. And sometimes that's how I felt. I was just kind of going through the motions. And I remember I went through a time in my life where I was very grateful for the fact that I was a nurse. I ended up as a single mom for a little while. And when I went through school, I thought, well, this will be great. If I have this profession, then if anything ever happens to my husband, I would have a way to provide for my family. But when I found myself as a single mother, the last thing I wanted to do was leave those 4 kids and be off to work every day. So I ended up working 2 days a week at a plastic surgeon's office. And the other days I taught piano lessons and voice lessons and tried to make money any way I could to stay home with them so that I didn't have to do the work that I worked so hard to do. Right? So something seemed off there. And I thought there's got to be a way that I can find something that I can do from home that will fulfill this nursing need in me. And this fulfilled that too. So yeah, Curtly, I totally hear you. So I just wanted to show you guys briefly, just one example of what can happen when you are able to share what we offer with this wonderful program that is totally medically based with other people. It speaks to you medically because we have such a fantastic medical director in Dr. Wayne Anderson. Much of our board of the people who serve on the board of our program with Optavia. One of them is Larry Cheskin from Johns Hopkins University. We're certified through Villanova in the nursing program. Honestly, it really speaks to our nursing background to be part of this. But when you share this program with others that is safe, that you can really feel is backed by medical studies, and just the backing that we have is I'm kind of a lack of words here, but it's just solid. It's sound. And when you can do that, you've got confidence in what you're doing. And so a year ago, March, I was able to run into a man at a restaurant. He walked in, labored in, I should say, at 451 pounds. And my heart said, I got to talk to this man. And so I did. I had an opportunity to speak with him about his health and the conversation, I won't go into the details of how I got into that, but anyway, it was just an opportunity that I had to ask him if he would like some support with his health. And at first he said no, he wasn't interested. He had good insurance and all his medications were covered, and no, he wouldn't be interested. So I gave him some information. He said he would look at it, and I made a time to follow up with him. And that night he called me back and he said, something just prompted me that I had to go through the information you gave me. And so I feel like I need to try this. And I said, okay, great, let's give it a go. And so he got on the program, and this was March of 2016. To date, he's down 198 pounds. And I have a picture here I'll just show you. This is, it's just remarkable when you get to be a part of seeing someone's lives change so dramatically. This is Stan, and he went from morbidly obese with type 2 diabetes, neuropathy, heart disease, CPAP, inflammation, everything you can imagine that goes along with it. And to see him now getting his life back, being able to function and go back and do things that he hasn't done in years, being able to golf again, snowshoe again. He's actively involved in his community. He's gone back to church. He's serving in the community, and he's happy. Whereas before, he did nothing but get up and go to work, come home and eat, go to bed. Get up and go to work, come home, eat, go to bed. There was no life to him, and he was on his way out. He said, in his own words, if I hadn't found him, he's pretty sure he would not be here still, because his health was that far declined. So that's where the joy comes, is being able to come in alignment with people. Some are not morbidly obese. Some just want to have better energy. They want to get educated as to how to balance their food, how to fuel their body the way their body is designed. They just want answers. Others really struggle. They struggle with challenges, and not that, our program can cure any illness, but these are things that we see happen where people have these issues, and when they take part in the program and their bodies respond and their bodies get to a healthier weight, because of that weight loss, these other things can be improved. And so that's the joy. That's what speaks to me with my nursing. I see it happening. I see it working. And so it's blessed my life by seeing that happen. Because of it also, I've had to grow as a person. I've had to learn how to be better with people. I've had to grow personally in my own development. And that's what the healthy mind aspect of our program is about. It helps us all grow that way and become better. And that's not only just with working with our clients, but that spills over into working with your husband or wife or your children or anyone you come in contact with. It just helps you in those areas be so much more confident and more prepared. And then also the financial aspect. Honestly, I don't even know how many times I've replaced my nursing income. It has grown so much in the last 7 years, to the point where I'm so grateful. We have a family of 8. That's a lot of expense when you're putting that many kids, helping them with their expenses going through college and weddings and all that comes with that, raising children. I never thought in a million years I could provide memory building activities for our family the size that we are. Never thought that would be possible. And yet I yearn to be able to make those dreams come true. This program has created that type of an opportunity for us, where we can do things as a family, travel as a family, build relationships that I never thought that we'd have those opportunities. So financially, it helps people with debt. It helps people get on top of things. It helps people provide things that they need. And that brings peace of mind. So I think it's worth you taking time to just explore this with whoever has invited you here. Explore what's possible. And we have a set and proven pattern of training that is so strong and so simple that will really speak to you. As you'll recognize, we have an assessment we have each client go through. We then plug them into the system and help them every step of the way. It's very structured. That will speak to your nurse heart as well. And you don't have to recreate anything. It's all done for us. We just step into it and implement it. So I just wanted to show you a picture that we just took 2 weeks ago, actually. My family and I, we were able to go to Hawaii and spend a week together, which is a dream come true. None of my children had been to Hawaii except for my oldest, who he was 2 the last time we went. Anyway, this is a picture, of us in Hawaii, and it just blew my mind that we were all able to get over there and spend that week, and we had such an amazing time. I just hope you guys really will take a minute and consider. Just consider it. We need help. We need help to move this mission forward. This mission is one of helping people regain their health, their confidence, helping them feel that there's possibilities, there's opportunities, helping them restructure and rebuild. And Dr. Anderson, who is our medical director, he is serious about taking it to our nation and then to the world. The timing has never been better. The program is solid and strong, but nurses just flat out make amazing health coaches. We're wired for it. So I would ask you not only to consider it for yourself, but also share it with some other people in your world who are your friends in nursing. Let them know that this is an opportunity that is available, and let's just link together and get your questions answered so that we can can do this job, get out there and make this happen. So anybody have any quick questions? I know we're a little bit past the 30-minute mark, but we maybe better not take questions because that might take us too long. I want to keep this short. Take your questions back to the person who invited you, and we can get them answered. And I just want to thank Tanya for inviting me to be part of this, and also Donnie and Kurtley and all the others. I know I see Anita, she's a nurse. Wave, Anita. And Robin McSheehy is on. There's several nurses on that I know of, and I'm so honored to be next to you moving this forward. So thank you, Tanya, very much. I hope this has been helpful.
Thank you, Jan. It has been. I appreciate it. Thank you all that were on the call. And I think that now it kind of opened it up to what's possible. So I appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're welcome. All right, everybody, have a wonderful day. And let's think about the possibilities, should we? Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks, Jan.
Thanks,
Thanks, Tanya.